Hello everyone, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, students sit in for the 2019 session of the General Certificate of Education GC Advanced and Ordinary levels and the Baccalaureate examination in the English and French subsystems of education, respectively, amid tension, insecurity, fear, and uncertainty in the crisis-hit northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Administrative authorities have intensified security measures, notably around schools, to ensure a hitch-free unfolding of the examinations, and the students in other parts of the country have been taking part in this session of the examinations or official examinations hitch-free. Also in this newscast, we'll talk about the 29 years of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party. After close to 3 decades of existence, the party led for the number of years that it has been existing, and until now by Ni John Fundi remains the leading opposition political party in Cameroon. Those were top stories. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television. We begin with education news in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and students of the English and French subsystems of education are sitting in for the 2019 session of the General Certificate of Education GC Advanced and Ordinary levels, and of course the Baccalaureate examination respectively, amid a tense, uncertain atmosphere as a result of the Anglophone crisis. The students who have been taking part for this first day, or who took part for this first day of the examinations, had to brave threats and of course fear to get to the examination centers, especially as today is Monday, a day when the traditional operation Ghost Town is respected in Anglophone Cameroon. Details with Smanjikan Gebre on the General Certificate of Education in Kumba in the Meme Division of the Southwest region today.
Kumba, chief town of Meme Division, on a day public examination started. The traditional ghost town was heavily respected without any movement. That did not disturb the senior divisional officer from Meme, who went around the 3 key examination centers in Kumba. The first stop of Ntundong Shambalin was at the government bilingual high school up station, which was an accommodation center for GCE ordinary level and students sitting in for the back examination. At GBHS Kumba station, even though the examination started well, a candidate fell ill and was rushed to the hospital. From Government Bilingual High School station, the senior divisional officer's entourage moved to the Cameroon College of Arts and Science, CAS, Kumba, that is hosting 15 centers, and no student was absent. The Government Technical High School GTHS, aka Sofati, was Ntundong Shambalin last stop. In this center, candidates from Mundemba and Bangem were also sitting in for the examinations here. Examiners say no student was absent.
The evaluation is very, very positive. The evaluation are very, very positive because all of us we saw the attendance in general. That's to have more than 1,000 students station there. So then we are now way of supporting. That means things are moving, and we thank God, we thank the security for what they are doing. You know, the exercise is not easy. They are facing a very difficult situation. But this one is also a testimony that gradually the education have understood that the education is very still. That we have to support our children, encouraging them to go back to school, because without risking their future.
As a result of the crisis, many students, reports say, slept on campus, and the senior divisional officer has promised to increase security to stop any form of attack on these students until the end of the examinations.
It was in a less tense atmosphere that students in the opaque city of Limbe in the southwest region of Cameroon trekked across long distances to move to or to get to the examination centers to take part in the General Certificate of Education GC ordinary and advanced levels. However, some few cabs and motorbikes were in circulation, and some of the students had to brave the threats. Most of them who are coming from the hot areas, so to speak, in Limbe. David Simai has more.
Their future is what matters to them more than any other thing. This explains why the students have to brave the odds, despite the threat and the ghost town, with some trekking kilometers to reach the examination centers. The students equally got backup in terms of transportation from some commercial motorbike riders who defied the ghost town to make fast cash in transporting the students. All the public and private schools were grouped to two centers, that is the Government High School and the Government Balingo High School, Limbe, while the mission schools, Seka Baptist College and St. Anne, though accommodating external centers, are all riding in their school centers with tight security. This reporter was warned by security agent at the gate of the mission schools not to take any images even outside, while at the government school centers, restrictions were given not to film the students and invigilators in the examination rooms. Some of the students say the questions were at their reach and pray that the writing exercise should be void of any negative sin, as they hope to make it at the end.
Tried our best, leave it in the hands of God. It was not easy, but we tried our best. Because it was quite difficult, but we tried our best.
I wrote it well. Yes, no disturbance. We wrote it okay.
The exam is kind of fine. No strike, no gun shooting. We wrote well. I wrote the first paper very well, so we are now about writing the second paper.
This is the second time of writing, and I hope I will make it. Not just making it, but the flying colors.
The students here excited, but again says that the atmosphere is a little bit conducive, but tense somehow.
Nonetheless, no statistics were given, since no school administrator, chief of center, or officials from the secondary education delegation were all unavailable to speak to the press. However, while GC is ongoing, most business places were closed, with few taxis in circulation, with mostly commercial motorbike riders plying the streets in their hundreds.
And many students who ought to have been taking part in this session of the General Certificate of Education GC ordinary and advanced levels, as well as the baccalaureate examination in the English and French subsystems of education respectively in the two Anglophone regions of the country, are not doing so because of the crisis that has been pulling on with devastating consequences on education for close to 3 years today. And some of of the students who have been taking part in this session of the GCE and Baccalaureate on this day one equally braved a lot of difficulties and threats in the Bamenda and other parts of the northwest region and of course the southwest region to take part in this day one of the GCE and Baccalaureate. And in neighboring Penja, it is in the Mongo Division littoral region of the country, some internally displaced students expressed their desire to go back to the areas of residence in the two Anglophone regions of the country, and they were speaking after taking part in the paper one, or in the first subject of the day. They spoke to Jacquino Molon, and for me, Armstrong Sander compiled this report.
Systematic check of candidates sitting for the General Certificate of Education, GCE Ordinary and Advanced Level Examination, as well as Baccalaureate Examination of the French Subsystem of Education in Government Bilingual High School Penja. Government Bilingual High School Penja is found in the Mongo Division of the littoral region of Cameroon. The roles were clearly stated to the candidate taking the exams this year 2019 in GBHS Penja, which included, among other things, the need to bring only written materials and identification documents to examination halls. Once in class, the conduct of the exam is presented to candidates and last-minute recommendations made.
Il est strictement interdit de communiquer avec son.
Candidates then took 1 hour 30 minutes to reproduce what they have been learning concerning economics paper 2.
Today I was writing economics paper 1 for 1 hour 30 minutes. I wish to pass my exam. I wish the next paper that is going to come will be exactly as serious as the first.
My difficulty here is really speaking in French, and also the weather condition is very harsh. I don't want to continue here. I'm really hoping to go back to where I'm coming from Boya, from the southwest.
I'm coming from southwest Boya. Life in Penja is very difficult. I mean, really difficult.
At the end of the first paper for the day, the chief of center made the first appraisal.
Okay, as far as baccalaureate exam is concerned, we have 205 registered and only 1 absent. Concerning GCE O-level, we have 107 sat, everybody is there, and concerning the A-level, we have 66, but 1 absent. So for now, everything is moving very well there.
Those sitting for baccalaureate examination and GCE advanced level have this exam to validate before thinking of knocking the doors of higher educational institutions in Cameroon.
Here in Douala and elsewhere in the Francophone regions of the country, the baccalaureate and of course the GCE examinations unfolded for as far as day one is concerned, hitch-free at Government Bilingual High School, Nyala. It is in the Douala 3 subdivision. Innocent as it has more.
They are just from writing their very first paper of the 2018-2019 GCE and Baccalaureate examinations at Government Bilingual High School Nyala Center in the Douala 3 subdivision. Economics was the first paper for those of the English subsystem of education. Those for the baccalaureate of the French subsystem of education wrote literature, French and philosophy. All these subjects were written in a serene atmosphere. Some who wrote economics smiled and wished the GCE continue similar way.
The way I wrote it, it was just easy. It was not so hard as I thought. So since it's my first time, I hope it's just going to be the rest as the GCEs continue.
And they were very good for me to write today because all things I read, it came in my paper 1 question. I'm very, very thankful for you people today. I'm very sure I will be trying to do my work very well.
A baccalaureate candidate also sounds somehow happy.
On vient de composer l'épreuve de philosophie, sur lequel moi j'ai pris l'explication des tests philosophiques.
She wrote philosophy well, though was a little bit cumbersome.
Bon, dans l'ensemble, l'épreuve était abordable. C'était pas si difficile que ça.
While the examinations continue, security measures have been put in place to prevent cheating, particularly. Thorough search is conducted to avoid students entering with prepared materials to have advantage over others. As a result, all is moving on well, according to the chief of center.
Oui, je peux dire que ça se passe très bien.
Out of 820 candidates who sat in for the baccalaureate examination, the chief of center knows 2 were absent on day 1. He says another candidate, critically ill, is striving to write with hope to be successful.
Bon, nous espérons qu'elle va se remettre. Mais là, elle est quand même en train de composer.
About 1,050 candidates are sitting in for the GCE. Questions about how many candidates are absent, the chief of center said it is complex to determine how many were present and absent.
Parce que comme c'est un choix de matière, ça fait qu'on ne peut pas vérifier les présences et les absences tout d'un coup.
At the end of day 1, the candidates return home with a 0 to write better subsequently as far as other subjects are concerned.
The Social Democratic Front, SDF, a political party, clocked 26, or rather 29, May 26, that was over the weekend. The party, which has remained the leading opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, was launched on May 26, 1990 in the northwest regional capital Bamenda, during which 6 persons were killed in confrontations or clashes with security forces. It remained the leading opposition political party in the country, always coming second in the respective presidential elections until the 2018 presidential election, when the party shifted 4 or 3 steps backward to the 4th position, and the 2nd position was taken over by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party, and of course the 3rd position by the candidate Cabral Libi, and of course the Social Democratic Front, however, remains the leading opposition political party in the Republic of Cameroon, coming second, or the 2nd political party after the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement with regards to the number of members of parliament, and notably at the lower and the upper houses of parliament, mayors and municipal councillors that the party has across the country. And on the occasion of the celebration of the party's 29th anniversary over the weekend here in Douala, the first vice president of the party, Honorable O.C. Joshua, spoke to Equinoxe Television. Take a listen.
The party has stood on the side of truth for 29 years. We haven't compromised. I revisited the national chairman, John Fundi's speech of the 26th of May 1990 in Tarik on Bamenda, and everything he said there is still valid today. It means that we have been steadfast for 29 years. We have been able to stand to our values. And what I was telling the militants today is that after 29 years, people tend to think that they are, as you say in French, opposants, that they are opposition, and they forget that we are, first of all, social democrats who happen to be in the opposition today and who want to be in power tomorrow. So let us stand by those values, because when you call an SDF militant an opposant, you mix everything up, because in the opposition you have the far right, you have extremists of all sorts, you have adventurers, you have political commerçants, etc. But we are social democrats, and we stand to that. And that is why after 29 years, those who stood for this truth then are still standing with us today. Now, if you ask me what has changed in Cameroon, Mr. Biya likes telling people a big lie, that he brought democracy to Cameroon. John Fundi brought democracy to Cameroon. The SDF brought liberty to Cameroon. The SDF brought about all these changes that made it possible for all of you to stand in front of me and own your TV channels and so on. So I think when we revisit our recent history, we see that what the SDF has been doing so far is laudable. The SDF also in Parliament started what today is called Operation Épervier. You might remember that when we said that the ministers are all thieves. Mr. Biya said we should bring proof, and our parliamentarians at the time brought the affidavit necessary for the first minister to be prosecuted. And today, Cameroonians see that what we said about 15 years or 20 years ago is still valid today. So we have been on the side of the truth, we have been on the side of the Cameroonian people, and we have stood true to our social democratic values.
The first vice president of the Social Democratic Front, Honorable O.C. Joshua, equally highlighted or reiterated the party's stand as far as the upcoming municipal, legislative and regional elections are concerned. He says the party will not take part in those elections in the present context, notably with regards to the deepening socio-political and security crisis hitting the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. Listen to Honorable O.C. Joshua.
Well, let me go even further. There is no way elections can hold in war. There's never been a situation where elections have been carried out in war. The only exception was in 2018 and 2018 twice in senatorial and presidential elections in Cameroon. And actually you saw what happened. There were no elections in the northwest and southwest. And that's probably why, that's one of the reasons why the SDF had those results. But let me put this abundantly clear. Let me make this abundantly clear. Local elections are different from national elections, and you cannot have a national assembly with 8 regions represented in it. So there will not be elections. Even if you want to organize elections, the government of Cameroon cannot organize elections today in the present state. But I reiterate what the national chairman said, and that's the position. We can't go into elections while people are shooting at each other. We need to bring that violence to an end for elections to hold. Well, I think today, after the presidential election and the saga that followed, everybody is aware that the only laudable hope for the Cameroonian people to have a true alternative in power is the SDF. And the militants should recognize this and understand it and take ownership of these expectations. The problem of the SDF is not that we're not doing enough, it's that the Cameroonian people expect so much from us, and the militants take it sometimes for granted, all those expectations. And I know it's a hard work. It's every day we get up, it's everyday challenges, it's everyday hardships and so on. But the Cameroonian people count only on one party, that's the SDF. So we happen to be this party, and so it is our responsibility to deliver these people. And I just want to use this occasion to invite all Cameroonians that the SDF is an open party. If you have social democratic values, this is the place to militate. This is the place where change will come into Cameroon.
The first vice president of the Social Democratic Front SDF political party, Honorable O.C. Joshua, speaking there. And coming up, Limbe-based correspondent Davidson Maimo reports that the last set of recruits of military officers at the Manao Bay Military Training Center are in their last phase of training to become operational as elements of the National or the Rapid Intervention Battalion. And in the last phase of their training, they are covering distances of over 400 kilometers to be fully equipped for the task ahead of them, that of protecting the country's territorial integrity and ensuring the security of persons and properties. His report.
At the 2019 batch of the elite force of the Cameroon Army, the Rapid Intervention Battalion, with French acronym the B, senior officers of the B say this is one of the most tedious training of these young soldiers, covering a distance of over 400 kilometers on foot, so as to earn the title of an infantry commando of the elite unit, the B. Major Poco Christian is in charge of this mission.
This march is the last step of the training, of the basic training of 12 weeks in the Commando Training Center in Manawabi. This is a compulsory step to become elite soldier in the Rapid Intervention Battalions.
Tired and exhausted, the young commandos in the making must endure the pains, as it is part of their job description, as to enable them fit in any war mission globally. Each young commando is carrying a luggage weighing about 10 kilograms. That is, a bag filled with military gadget weighing about 5 to 7 kilograms, including a light mattress and a gun weighing about 2 to 3 kilograms. Reason why the first phase Limbe-Yaoundé, they have to spend about 3 nights. However, security of these young commandos with the present dispensation, especially within the Anglophone region, is of priority. Colonel Belong Henry is the commander of the B base at Manawa Bay in Limbe.
Today we have our great trek from Manawa Bay to Douala the first. We are working for 50 kilometers. Then we are caring about security on the way. And I just recommend the trainees to be strong in the head. That's my only recommendation.
It is expected that upon the completion of the 400-kilometer military walk, these young commandos recruited this year will be fit to defend the color of the national flag anywhere in the world.
The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, signs 3 decrees appointing new officials at the helm of the Cameroon Airlines Corporation. Cameco Transport Minister Ernest Massinangale Bibehe becomes the new board chair of Cameco, taking over from Louis-Georges Njipenji Kwoto, who is now the general manager of that company, that is the Cameroon Airlines company. He takes over from Ernest Dikoum, and the Deputy General Manager of Cameco is Max Constant V, and the newly appointed officials took up duty today during an extraordinary board meeting. While presiding at the board meeting, Transport Minister Ernest Massinangale Bibehe reiterated the imperative need to do everything possible to ensure the implementation of the plan to revamp the company adopted in 2007. It should be noted that the officials are appointed at a time when the company has been moving down the train over the years, with most of its planes grounded and a tense working environment. The company for some years now has been obliged to lease from foreign companies to satisfy its clients. And now out of Cameroon, at least 30 people are feared dead after a boat sank on Lake Mai Ndombe in the western part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the vessel is reported to have been carrying more than 40 people. 170 of them have been saved, while more than 200 are still missing. The reason for this accident is unclear, but it is believed to have been caused by overloading. Last month, at least 167 people died in 2 boat accidents on Lake Kivu, and recent boat accidents have prompted the country's president Felix Tshisekedi to make it mandatory for passengers to wear life jackets. That's it for this edition of the news on EQUINOXE Television. Thanks for staying with us.